everyone, welcome to another episode of the second season of #SU, your portal to the trending world. Let me take you through this 45-minute journey. I'm your host, Kathleen Argala. Questions has always been cemented in the minds of every human being, and it's always a matter of who, what, when, where, why, and how. For one to be able to learn, one must first learn how to ask. Join us as we figure out the answers to the most frequently asked questions of the Dumagueteños. With less than 4 months before the 2013 elections, candidates for different positions in the government are toiling on their platforms and campaign strategies to acquire votes from their constituents. Negros Oriental has more than 700,000 voters, with Dumaguete City being the largest vote area at 66,000 registered voters. There are only 2 candidates for mayor. Dumaguete, who are you voting for?
Wala para ba ko'y siguro ane?
Kuan, wala ba'y larong mutaran?
Wala pa ko kabalo, mamili pa man ko.
Desisyon, dili mi mo kuan sa kay papa mo mi kabalo.
Mura kuan pa ba ko kinsa nila kay ang mga performance po nila.
Wala pa jud ko kabalo.
The final decision for that.
Wala pa ako.
Wala pa klaro, ma'am. Wala pa ko klaro.
Di pa ko ka-decide eh. Wala pa ko kuan.
Out of more than 700,000 registrants in the province, Dumaguete comprises almost 10% of the voting population. In a quick survey done around the city of Dumaguete, more than half of the respondents were undecided who to vote for mayor. With only 2 candidates running for this May, it is puzzling to know that only a few people have already decided who to vote for.
Sa Garbaria sad kay murag tsada kayang ipakita ba.
Of this time, I don't have any idea yet, but I think I will just vote for the one who is elected as of this year, because I saw what he had done for this his previous years in serving the people.
Sa Garbaria ra gyapon.
Ngano man no?
Okay ra man ang iyang kuan mahulaw tani.
Oo, ay ulo no. Okay ra yan.
Okay ra yung performance oh. Makasulay man po ko trabaho sa kuan city engineer okay ra man.
Kuan, Galbaria.
Ngano man no?
Kaya siya may nagtabang na mo sa among kuan. Kaning diverse permit ba?
Nationalist People's Coalition candidate, Mayor Manuel Sagarbaria, is running for his second term.
Sa Garbaria or Cordova?
Cordova.
Why?
Kasi gusto ko niya. I like him to be a mayor. That's it.
Murag nakuana na mo nga murag maayo pug agi si Kuan Vice. Oo.
Para mo maayo siya agi.
Oo. Murag kuan pud siya bakanan sa mga batanon. Ana murag kuan pud siya open siya ba. Kay bata pa man good bud.
Cordova. Cordova? Nganong si Cordova manang? Hilingan lamang mo.
I don't really know their background, but I think I'm gonna go for Cordova.
Okay, why?
I don't know, because he's a West Pointer.
This before.
On the other hand, Liberal Party candidate, Vice Mayor Alan Gel Cordova, is challenging the incumbent mayor. One of the key questions that people try to find out is the motivation behind each candidate in running for office. Why did they decide to run for mayor?
Well, it started during that time of Ipi Remonyo, 1998. When I met him once in one of the parties and I challenged him and he became the mayor. I told him, let us fix the traffic here in Dumaguete. And he threw the challenge back to me. And he tells me, why don't you help me in solving the traffic here in the city of Dumaguete? So I said, why not? True enough, he appointed me. They even called me as the traffic czar during the time, from 1998 to 2001. So henceforth, by 2001, he asked me to join him in politics to run as councillor. So that's history. I was a councillor for the last 9 years. Then now, 2010, I ran for mayor. God willing, I mean, through the graces of God, I won as the city councillor of the city of Dumaguete. What made me really join politics? Well, I remember when I was young, my father was always telling us about social problems, and we have to, one way or the other, help the community. And I think the best way in helping the community is through politics.
Why politics? Why did you want or choose to become a government official?
Well, it wasn't my plan when I was young. But when I became a lawyer, I was assigned, I was part of the city legal office then, and part of our job was reviewing proposed ordinances and resolutions passed by members of the city council then. And of course, as I went through my job and read through these proposals and existing ordinances and resolutions, I just felt that with my education and experience, perhaps I could make a small contribution to our society. So through politics. The comments I received then were that I wouldn't make it because I don't have the money, I don't have the organization, I don't have any party, and in fact, I don't even have a big family. Ang uban nato would go to the extent of being insulting and saying nga patuga-tugar ako, etc. So that's what kept me going then, because I felt that in Dumaguete, I think people here, especially since I'm from Dumaguete, I'm born here, really take the time to choose their own political leaders. And I don't think that money or party is or are the only reasons for electing people for political leadership.
While some people try to examine the motivations of the candidates, others assess the performance and achievements of each politician.
Well, in the past years, well, I've learned really a lot from being a councillor, and I was also chosen as one of the few, better said, good men of Mayor Tuting Perdices. He helped me a lot, and by doing so, I was able to, one way or the other, have his minds in telling me how to run government. And by doing so, I think the proof of the pudding now is in the 3 rewards that I got, that the city got under my administration. So that is actually the proof of the pudding. Those 3 awards reflects how I run the city for the last 30 months.
I'd like to be specific about it and think of ordinances and resolutions. But I think it's really creating that atmosphere, that kind of culture that if you got something to say, you really need to say it. You know, I want to develop among that atmosphere, especially city council, you know, for members of the council to speak their minds, to really know how they intend to serve the public and not just masters, political masters, if ever naaman gani. So I want to infuse that knowledge, that courage and candor, you know, to really for members of the council to come out and say this is what is good and for the city, and this is what is not good for us.
Perhaps one of the main factors that people decide on is the political party where the candidate belongs to. It is important for some people to determine whether the candidate is on the side of the administration or the opposition.
Sir, how would you describe the political setting here in Dumaguete, sir?
Oh, well, it's very, very, I am looking for the right term. It's very, very sober, di ba? I think that's the right term. Everybody is on its own, in the sense that as a party, I belong to the Nationalist People's Coalition Party. We work as a team, so we're doing pretty fine. We have adopted what our predecessors have done, especially former Tuting Perdices, no? Former Macias, Dodo Macias. We are adopting their policy, and we are continuing that policy up to today.
To other LGUs, I think we're sort of decent here. and dignified. We probably owe it to, let's say, our political predecessors also. They try to, be sober about it. But of course, there are probably times that might be considered exceptions to the statement. But again, since I belong now to a political party, I always impress upon the members of my party that the kind of politician we are will be determined by the process by which we try to get ourselves elected. I try to impress upon them that we, use fair means, decent and dignified campaigning. And as much as possible, we win on our own strengths rather than on the weaknesses of our fellow contenders. So I think we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our friends, of course we owe it to our community, so that for the next batch of politicians that would come along, they would at least perceive us as a kind of model.
It is not enough for politicians to reach out to their constituents. And since campaign period for local elections will not start until March 29, it is still up to the people to gather as much information that will help them decide who they will vote for.